Yeah, mine still. Oh, there it says. It says
Oh,
live. We're
there we
live.
are. We're live. It's official.
Yeah, we're
It's
real.
it's pretty seamless. It's a pretty easy platform to just go live on. You just set it up and go.
Yeah, I'm still. I'm still getting used to all the different. Every platform is different, and so like I'm getting used to it. But people are pouring in right now. Hello, everybody.
Hi everyone. This is so fun. Um Wait, so we should introduce ourselves for the people. Oh, Savannah's there. Hi, hi, hi. Steve's wonderful wife, who I adore. Um, so yeah, I guess we should introduce ourselves to everyone because we may have audiences from yours and mine, and so they might not know us.
Yeah, I guess you're technically host because you started it. So I bow to you.
Okay. All right. Well, for anyone who doesn't know me, hi everyone. I'm Eliza Orlins, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan. I also happened to have appeared on 2 seasons of Survivor and 1 season of The Amazing Race. And so I mostly talk about injustice in the world, do explainer videos, talk about knowing your rights when it comes to interactions with the police or ICE, and try and break down, legal cases and other crazy political things happening. But I'm so excited to be here with my friend Steve today.
And hello, everybody. My name is Steve Hofstetter. I'm a professional asshole. My job, technically, stand-up comedian. But I like to say that my brand, if anything, is "fuck you, Karen." I don't suffer fools, and I'm known for my live touring as well as clapbacks at hecklers and all of that stuff. And it's awesome that I'm able to be here with my friend Eliza, and it was fun. Savannah, my wife, in the comments just wrote, "Oh my god, two hot people on one screen." So,
We love you, Savannah. Well, it's
so
dark time, so it's nice to get to be here with you and like maybe have some laughs and kind of be darkly funny.
I will try it. Also, to demonstrate the difference between us and how we do. Oh, Sari Rosenberg just joined.
Hi,
Hey.
Sari.
So to demonstrate the difference between us as creators, you had texted me following up about a half hour ago, and you were like, "All right, I have an outline prepared," and I was like, "Oh, what now?" All right, great, that's excellent. Thanks for doing the prep work because I didn't do shit. So
Well, I just figured, I mean, listen, we could just go live and not have an outline and we could just chat for the next hour and I'm sure it would be amazing. But I was like, what if I run out of things to say, which has never happened in the history of my life. But, I like to have things prepared.
but also it shows like you are a responsible lawyer person. You do your homework, you know your shit, and I'm just like, I'll just talk trash and see what happens.
Well, your trash talking is superior. I mean, it is second to
Thank you.
none. I am obsessed with it. I have gotten a flood of trolls recently on a video. Listen, I know that when I post certain types of videos, it's going to attract trolls. And I think, as someone who's been in the public eye for over 20 years, like I can handle the trolls, but they're really flooding my comments on a video right now. And I kind of tried to start doing some clapbacks and then I was just like, I can't do this. This is not my strong suit.
Well, I do the clapbacks for a couple of reasons. One, for engagement. I understand what the algorithm likes. Also for entertainment. I know that like if I clap back at someone and then screenshot it and share it later, like people will enjoy it. What I don't do them for is because I'm mad at somebody. Because when I'm just mad at somebody and I feel that anger bubbling up, I'll block them so that that anger goes away. Every now and then there's someone who like I'll clap back at, and then I'll see them in a bunch of other comment sections. And by the third one, I'm just like, now you're boring.
Yeah.
Like now I'm just gonna block you because you're boring because you're saying the same dumb, I got this from a meme garbage, and so I'm done with them.
Yep. My latest, they're attacking everything from my intelligence to my appearance to, everything across the board. It's just ridiculous. But I also recognize that, most of them are just trolls, bots, I don't know, angry,
The phrase
sad people.
Yeah, the phrase I like to use because I know that there are definitely a lot of bots out there, but I always try to avoid assuming something is a bot just because it disagrees with me
Mhm.
because like that's dangerous thinking. I think that is how we end up in an echo chamber. Like I do understand there are real life people that disagree with me. Now I also understand that they're idiots, but I like to use the phrase never take someone else's demons personally. I actually just got a message from someone who runs a comedy club in Tokyo, who, like, I don't even know. I was just chatting with him about booking a friend of mine, and he said that there's like a local comedian who this one guy is obsessed with her now, and like obsessed in a very negative way, and sending her all these things and creating all these different accounts. And what do I recommend, since I clap back? And I said, for someone like that, I recommend blocking them. I was
Yeah.
like, that is not someone who can experience shame. That is not someone who can be taught a lesson. That is someone to avoid. Simple
Yeah.
as that. And when people give the whole like, "Oh, I thought you supported free speech," about like free speech doesn't apply to the private sector. And
Hmm.
also, like, I don't need to share my online home with you. I'm not I'm not blocking you from internet access.
Right.
I'm just saying don't hang out in my area of the internet. That's it.
Exactly. And I actually tend to, use the restrict feature a lot because
Mhm.
then I know when someone is repeatedly coming back to my comment section. And oftentimes I'll accept the comment anyhow and I'll allow it to be present on my account. But I want to know who the repeat offenders are because if they get particularly offensive, it's like three strikes and you're out. Then you don't even get to see my content anymore because you're not entitled to be here. And yes, I do have a real problem with people's fundamental misunderstanding of the First
Yeah.
Amendment.
The thing that I miss most about old Twitter, well, other than like the DM rooms and the friendships and stuff like that, the thing I miss most was the mute feature. I don't understand why every bit of social media doesn't have it. The idea, the ability to make someone disappear to you without them ever knowing it. Because when you block someone, crazy people see that as an achievement.
Right,
They're like, I was so annoying that this person went out of their way. It's like, congratulations, you're the worst.
right.
But I love the idea of muting someone and then they just yell into the void
Well,
and
that's what
they
restrict
don't know.
does.
Yeah, but
On
you still
Instagram,
see
you
it.
can restrict it. No, and then it's hidden.
Yeah, but Instagram also, I always try to show my hidden comments because most of the time Instagram hides a comment. It's someone being like, hey, great work. Like
Yeah,
Instagram's hidden comment algorithm, they're like, hey, we're going to show this thing where the person wants to kill you. But this person that wished you
right,
happy birthday, that's way too offensive. We've
right,
got to
right,
hide
right.
that.
No,
Yeah.
totally. It's really, you know,
Yeah.
truly ridiculous. But I really appreciate how you use your platform and that you have been one of the few people who, in the entertainment world, has never once shied away from using your platform to express your values. And like, I just so deeply appreciate that because there are people who, in every space, in every industry, who are like, if I use my platform to say these things that are thought of as polarizing, then, oh, I might lose ticket sales, I might lose business, I might lose followers, I might lose sponsors, whatever it is. And so there are a lot of people in every industry, in the legal industry, in the comedians across the board who are really afraid to speak out. What is it that's always given you your like, moxie, your ability to just always say the thing that you think?
I think there is a Yiddish word that is the best possible word to describe it, which is chutzpah.
Hmm.
When I try to explain what chutzpah is to people, because there's no direct translation, it is a combination of nerve and gall. It's a little of both. It's like it's really hard to explain exactly what it means, but it really is. I don't have a poker face. I don't have the ability to not. It's like when someone says something that pisses me off, it is such an internal struggle for me to just go, okay, like I can't do that. And so I think that's part of it, but also it is a calculated business decision because for everyone, and I found this out accidentally, I found this out from just naturally doing this stuff, but for every one person who I piss off and was going to buy a ticket but now won't anymore because of my politics, two more people will.
Hmm.
And not only that, but those are the people I want to have at the show.
Exactly.
And the thing I am proudest of in my career is who my fans are, is the kindness that they show each other. And look, obviously there are always going to be crazy people everywhere, but like I am not afraid of my fans. I know some comedians who are like center right, and they have expressed to me that, like, oh my god, I don't do meet and greets at shows, I don't do merch after shows because I don't want to interact with these monsters. And I'm like, here's an idea: appeal to people who aren't monsters.
Right.
So
Exactly. I mean,
that's part,
that's
that's part of it.
I completely agree with that. I think like that's, that's really how I feel too. It's like the people, there are definitely people who are following me because they hate me and they want to keep up on stuff, or they followed me because they saw a video that I did, which was interesting to them. And, and I do think that a lot of the stuff that I do that's know your rights type stuff in terms of interactions with police or whatever, that's bipartisan. I mean, certainly there are people on the left and the right who hate the cops. There are certainly people on the left and the right who are pro criminal justice reform, who, especially post January 6th, all these
Yeah.
people are like, solitary confinement is torture. And I'm like, yes, that's what I've been trying to say. They're like, our jails and prisons are horrific conditions. And I'm like, welcome, Big Tent, come on in. And so I'm thrilled to have anyone who wants to be part of the movement in that regard. But then, of course, I am somewhat political. And so those people who maybe ended up following me for a different take get very upset at some of the things that I say. But I do think, for the most part, like, especially on certain platforms, Substack for sure. And
Yeah.
also, I think TikTok, which really pushes the content to the people who want to see it, as opposed to the people who are going to hate watch it and then hate comment. I really do feel like there's this community of like such wonderful and supportive people. A woman commented on a video of mine the other day. It was on Saturday morning, I guess, and she said that these other women saw her watching one of my videos, like out in public, and approached her because they saw me on her screen, and then they were all meeting up to go to the protest together.
That is awesome. I love that. Like, that is, yeah, my favorite thing recently was that someone, so Savannah and I do a podcast together, and one of the running jokes on it is, because like we'll answer relationship questions sometimes, and one of the running jokes is that our response to everything is dump them. And so we ended up making a shirt that said dump them, and someone wore it to a protest and sent us a picture of it. And we're like,
Oh,
that is awesome. I
I
love that.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
it's wonderful when you can create these communities, and we see all these people in the comments. By the way, where I'm seeing like all your comments go. It's unfortunately Substack on the phone shows you like one thing at a time, so it's so difficult to like keep up with comments because it's like, oh, if you write more than one sentence, we have to scroll down to see it. But we see you guys, and you're awesome, and thank you. But yeah, it has been. I've only been on this for like a week, and it's been such a wonderfully supportive community, and I'm really enjoying it here so far. But one of the things that like I find interesting about what you do is that you are someone who was, lawyer by trade, and then you got into entertainment, and like you did the whole like survivor thing.
That
Eh,
was pre-lawyer.
That was pre-lawyer.
Hmm.
So you were on Survivor, and then you were like, I should probably represent people.
No,
Uh,
so when I applied for Survivor, I
yeah,
said in my audition video that I was about to take my LSAT. Like I already knew that I was going to go to law school. I was applying, it was
yeah.
I filmed the summer between junior and senior year of college, and it aired the fall of my senior year as I was going through the law school application process. Like I knew I was going to law school regardless of appearing on Survivor.
Okay, but I still find it such a fascinating career arc. The idea that like, because there are plenty of people like in every niche. There are creators. There are here's a here's a nurse influencer, and here's a
Mhm.
florist influencer, and here's a pregnancy influencer, and like there's everything. But a lot of the people who get into it didn't have experience in it before. And
Mhm.
so I find it very interesting that like you have this natural fit where you have a foot in both worlds. And that is a rarity.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I feel very lucky. I think like I've always been an early adopter of like every social media platform. I mean, I got on Facebook when it was invented, when I was in college and you needed a .edu email address. I
Same.
got on like Instagram like as soon as it existed. I was on Twitter in July 2007, like using it like a Facebook status update kind of like that was what my tweets looked like in the early days.
Yeah.
And then really
Your,
like getting
your
into all the
first
new
tweets
platforms.
were just like, I'm cold.
Going
Like
to the
just that.
movies like
Yeah.
today. Yeah, exactly. Um, Oh, somebody said they only just realized we're not in the same room. Yeah, sadly we're not. But I've got my rainbow bookshelf, and Steve's got his baseballs.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very well organized bookshelf. Very impressed.
It actually like it really upsets people. I don't know why they think there are people who are very triggered by my bookshelf being in rainbow order. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, like if you had like thousands of books that you needed to go through to find something, I understand that like rainbow isn't the best way to do that. By the way, the person who said that is my buddy Chris, who was my
Oh,
writing partner. Yeah, we wrote a movie together and worked on some stand up and etc. So yeah, we went to
amazing,
college together.
amazing. Well, hi
Yeah.
Chris.
So
He said he's staring at Steve's balls.
yeah, which he has been doing for 20 years, and it's a little uncomfortable. But
Well,
uh,
Chris and everyone who's on, make sure there must be something you can hit to make sure you're following both of us. Because if you're coming from one person's page or the other, we want to make sure that you're all following both of us. Um,
yeah,
yes, people are triggered by anything that is different from them, from how they think. But this is how my neurodivergent brain processes things. So if you ask me about a book, I can probably tell you what color the spine is. I mean, I can
yeah.
find all my books by color. And I also organize my apps. You should see my phone. They're all rainbow color coordinated.
So I organize my clothes that way.
Me too.
And part of that is also like, I wear button shirts when I perform, and if I'm going on the road for a couple of weeks, I don't want to take like 10 blue shirts. I want to have like a little of everything so I don't look the same in every video. But yeah, but people get triggered by the fact that like there are empty spots in this case. And I'm
Are
like,
you saving spots for certain, like for new balls?
yeah, so the top one is all for pitches that I've thrown. And
Oh,
then the bottom one is like these top rows here are autographed ones, and the bottom ones are like souvenirs from games. So like spring training, a home run ball, a foul ball, etc. So like I need room for more because I don't want to
right,
just end it.
right.
But I think everybody has their own systems of doing things. And one thing that I had been frustrated with in the working world, I say that describing it like because like stand up isn't the working world because you're completely autonomous. But when I've been staff on a television show, when I've in my earlier days when I had a day job, when other people demand that you use their system to stay organized, it's
Yep,
like, well, that works for you, but I don't know what the fuck is in your brain.
right.
Like you need to allow if you're anyone who's watching this, if you manage people, like allow them to use their own system as long as it works.
Completely agree. I think like that's such a huge thing. And I think that there really should be much more accommodation for all of that, especially in the days of like everybody, recognizing how much neurodivergence there is in the world. I think like there's so much of that like when I was younger and like pre ADHD diagnosis, people just thought I was difficult. I mean, I was like, because I was a high achieving woman. And so like it wasn't necessarily like the typical manifestation of ADHD, but it was just I would get kicked out of classes. And I like I'm a nerd, like through and through. Like I love to learn. I loved school. And yet I would get removed from class because I was just completely distracting other people. I was speaking out of turn. I was doing all these things. The teacher would like make me go sit in the hallway. I got kicked. I feel like so sad for little Eliza who like nobody was like, maybe we should have her tested for ADHD. Like, nope.
Wait, you're telling me that the woman who organizes her books by color is a nerd? I never would have thought that. I no, I absolutely relate to that because everybody learns their own way, everybody fits in their own way, and part of what's broken about education is that it's a one size fits all system, and that's simply not the way it works. But I did see a comment in here that I would love to address if that's cool. Um,
Absolutely.
Someone named It's Time said, "Could you guys touch on Fox Media conspiracy influencing anger with repeated lies?" I would love to. Um,
Definitely.
I find that the people who do the least research are the people who say, I do my own research. It is wild to me. I posted something recently that was about how Trump is crowing about how, the price of oil is coming down. And I'm like, yeah, the price of a barrel of oil is coming down, but we don't fill our cars with a barrel of crude oil. That is not how that works. And in fact, the retail price on average has gone up 20 cents a gallon. And the amount of people in the comments who are like, I I didn't see the price go up, and it's like, do you know what average means? Do you
Hmm.
understand that your corner gas station is not every fucking gas station?
Hmm.
And it's so easy. It's so easy. We have the internet at our fingertips now. You never need to be wrong. You never need to be wrong again. All you need to do, you can look up like that statistics, very, very easy to find. You don't even
Exactly.
need it sourced. If it's like, a fact-based argument, you might need to see the source from one or two different places in order to make sure that it's correct and not just someone who's just writing an article about something that they saw tweeted. But the amount of people who take confirmation bias,
Hmm.
they go, oh, it would be good for my political beliefs if this were true, and therefore this must be true. Like, it's so frustrating.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's so crazy because sometimes I will turn on Fox News out of just kind of like a morbid curiosity because I think it's easier to push back on things when you understand what the other side is saying. And it is just this just utter delusion where they are just kind of spiraling themselves into this just outrage and anger over things that are not things, like
Yeah.
trans kids in sports. It's like, do you hear yourself? Is this really the thing that you're riling everyone up over? Like, what? Like, why?
Yeah, like, so the big argument. Let's talk about that. So Leah Thomas, um, it was what Riley Gaines was the female swimmer who was all up in arms about it and trying to ban trans athletes from everything. She finished fifth.
Right.
Fifth.
Yeah.
I think it was Ariel Elias had an incredible thread that said that considering three cis women beat her and one trans woman finished ahead of her, she would actually be better off if she were only competing against trans women. She would have come in second. So, like, the idea that this is such a big deal that it needs to be at the forefront of your thoughts every day, it is just someone looking for something to be upset about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like the way they can whip people up into this frenzy. I mean, this is what the book bans are about. Oh my God, they're exposing your children to sexualized content and blah 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 because like in a book a boy likes another boy. It's like you're the one sexualizing it. Like it's you, like this is you all being obsessed with like children's genitals and children's stories. I mean, it's just all so outrageous and absurd, and they like whip themselves up into a frenzy over these things.
Yep, they're like, this book turned me on and that upsets me. It's like, well, that upsets me that that happened to you too. Yeah, anytime that they will make these wild claims, my favorite thing to do now in the comment section is to say, be specific. Tell me where that happened. Tell me where that happened. Tell me when that happened, and I'm happy to address it. But if you can just say, like, someone, one of my recent posts was about how someone claimed I was a government mandated comedian, and I was like, okay, let's follow the logic on that. What bureau of the government is paying me? What bureau is it? Local? Is it federal? Is it state? Like, what? How am I getting paid? And how do they know to find me? And what do they pay me? And like, just tell me. Follow the logic of the ridiculous fucking claim you just said.
Right. Would love to hear. Would love to hear. Like, where's that money? Or that
Hmm.
we were all paid protesters. Everyone who was out for the hands-off rallies. That we were all paid by George Soros in a number that was like so absolutely ridiculous. Like each person was getting $5 million or something.
Yeah, like, yeah, when you do the math of just like, oh, so we got paid all the money in the world. Is that
Yeah.
what just happened?
Yeah.
And my favorite of the George Soros claims, because they're all crazy, like these claims of that George Soros is doing what Elon Musk is actually doing. But my favorite George Soros claim was that someone said that he made all of his money profiteering from World War II. And I was like, oh, when he was 7? What did he do? Have a lemonade stand at the front, you idiot? Like, how could you possibly think that that's? But it's, you know what year that happened. You have to. You can see what year he was born. It's pretty easy to do. Well, it's easy for us to do the math. It's not easy for them to do the math. But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
You
yeah,
can use a calculator
yeah, exactly. You can use a calculator to see
just for
what
a little bit of
2025.
subtraction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really Oh, it's just the Soros stuff. I mean, forget it. Like, especially when I ran for office a handful of years ago, and it was just like
Yeah.
all these people saying that I was like Soros funded, and I was like, I tried to get Soros to fund my campaign. He is not funding it, but I wish.
Yeah, and if I were a government mandated comedian and I were George Soros funded, you think I'd be playing the loony bin in Little Rock, Arkansas? Like, you think that that's really where they're going to get people? Like,
Yeah,
it's just I ask them to be specific and they can't. What is
of
I'm
course.
so curious though. What is on your outline?
Oh, I was just looking to see what, what I had. I was like, these are our things. Like, no, we're really we're doing great. Answering questions, talking about activism, free speech.
Yeah.
So also I think like because we're both pretty new to Substack, it might be interesting for all the viewers and folks who watch this later on to hear what we're both building on Substack, like what we're hoping to do, what people can expect from each of our respective Substacks, and also like sharing kind of like what's next.
Yeah, I am curious because like I've been using the Substacks notes feature the same way that I use like Threads or Facebook or things like that. I haven't done a lot of long form posting yet. And that's something that I do intend to do. I also just moved and like I've been spending most of my time unpacking boxes. But, when I'm on the road on the 20th, I go on the road for 2 months.
Oh my God.
And so there will be and some of it is West Coast, and we're driving from Charlotte around the country. And so I'll have a couple 6 hour in the van days. And so on those days maybe I'll fire off a missive or two on here if that's what the people want, but we'll find out.
Well, I think everybody, I mean, the way I understand it is everyone should do what's natural to them. And the thing that I have found that I really enjoy doing is creating mostly short form, in the span of like even, under 5 minutes, let's say, video content. So I've
Yeah.
been just posting those same videos that I post on other platforms on Substack. And then the thing that I love about Substack is that then underneath, which is something I'm not able to do on TikTok or Instagram, I can cite my sources, because as opposed to a lot of other like breaking news creators, I'm not really doing breaking news. I'm really doing more of like explainers and deep dives, but I want to use primary sources. So I'm not going to be using an AP headline. I'm going to be using the court documents, whether it's
Yeah.
motions or a decision, or I'm going to be going to a .gov website and pulling a Pam Bondi, missive, or an executive order, and breaking it down, but based on my own interpretation, not just parroting someone else's. And so I love being able to link to those things under a video that I've done, that is cross posted mostly across platforms. But I'm thinking of doing some other like pretty intense deep dives. People have expressed a lot of interest in the Luigi Mangione case, for example. Every time I
Yeah.
do something on him, people have a ton of questions. And because that trial is going to happen in the courthouse that I've spent my entire career practicing in, I think that I have a really unique insight into, I know all the players involved. I know his lawyer, I know the prosecutor, I know the judge. Karen Agnifilo just filed motions. I can like break down what each of those things mean. So I might do my first set of like potentially paywalled content, where I like do like a real deep dive breakdown on that case.
Yeah, I think that that is wonderful to do. And by the way, Pam Bondi definitely puts the miss in missive. But the like I do like some explainer videos sometimes on sometimes specific issues, often specific politicians. And what I'll do is I will put my sources on screen, and people still in the comments will be like, "Oh yeah, cite your sources. This is all made up." And I'm like, it's there. It's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the
No, I
thing
do
that
that
you're
too. Green
watching.
screen it like literally right behind me,
Mhm.
and people still, yep.
Yeah, and by
I
the
do.
way, for anyone who's joined here because you're following me, absolutely, please go follow Eliza. Like her stuff is like if ever there were a personification of ACAB, you have just found it right here. Like I love how much you fight back on that. It's absolutely fantastic. And I will say that like look, the standard response to people is like, "Oh yeah, well, what's going to happen if you need the cops? Who you going to call then?" I thought about it, and I have called the cops a couple times in my life, and it's never gone well. It's never gone well. And in fact, there was one interaction I had with the police where I came home, and this is when I lived in a townhouse apartment, And I came home and there were like 4 cops, I think, on the street, and one of them was pointing an enormous fucking gun. This thing looked like the bazooka version of a gun at my bedroom window and like laughing. And I walked up and I was like, excuse me, but what is happening right now? And they were like, oh, well, we got a call and there was something 2 blocks down that someone was worried about. It turned out it was a movie set. This is when I was living in LA. And it turned out it was a movie set. Someone had a gun, but they had it for the movie and it was fine. And I just went, okay. And why are you pointing a gun at my apartment? And right when I asked that, one of the guys like steps up and was like, this is official police business. And I'm like, no, you just said this was an accident.
Hmm.
You just said like there is no reason for you to be pointing a gun at my window right now. My dog is home. Like and I called a buddy of mine and they were really dismissive to me. And so I was like, fine. So first I called the local police department and I was like, what the hell is going on? And they hung up on me. And then I called a friend of mine who was a cop. He was a state trooper for 23 years. And I called him and I said, am I overreacting? Like, I want to make sure that this isn't just me being like, oh, I'm scared because there are cops in front of my place. And he goes, the first thing that they teach us is do not point a gun anywhere you're not trying to shoot.
Yeah.
And he said that if it was someone under his supervision, they would have been fired instantly for doing that. And the
Wow, that's
idea that
unlikely.
they talked back to me instead of apologizing, like fuck all the way off.
Yeah.
Anyway, rant. Point is, yeah, ACAB.
No, it's true. I mean, I feel so lucky. I actually recently got to go to Vassar College and give a talk, a lecture, which I titled "The Thin Blue Lie: How Policing Upholds Injustice." And I got to stand up in front of a lecture hall filled with people and for over an hour got to kind of lay out all of the ways in which policing is upholding injustice in our country and how it's a systemic issue. You know, I'm not saying that you can't be a good person and become a police officer, but once you are a cop within this system as it exists, you can't be a good cop. You
Yeah,
can't.
like they don't allow you to. You can be the best person, become
Yeah,
a cop, and try to do wonderful things,
right.
and you will not be allowed.
And we
And
know what happens to the whistleblowers. I mean,
yeah,
Frank Serpico, it's like, it's like you're lucky if the worst thing you lose is your job or get
yeah.
shot in the face and you actually survive. Like this is not, this is a situation where it's very hard to be a good cop,
By the way, Thin Blue Lie, excellent name for that lecture.
right?
Excellent. Yeah,
Right, right.
wonderfully done. Yeah,
I know. It
that's
was
a
fun.
book
And so
title.
I usually get, some pushback during the Q&A portion after I give a talk where I'm pretty harsh in that regard. But we titled it in such a way that it was a very self-selecting crowd
Yeah.
who were super excited to be there. So,
Yeah. I have a joke in the set that I'm currently doing about like when I'm talking about getting bullied in high school, and I talk about like trying to make friends with the bully, and I was like, yeah, we have a lot in common. I'm a big rule follower and you're probably going to be a cop. And it always gets such a huge pop, but it's funny to see the couple of people, and my crowd's self-selecting, but it's funny to see the couple of people just being like,
well,
wait a
my
minute.
uncle's a cop. My
Yeah.
dad's a cop. My brother's a cop.
Yeah, be like, and is he a bully? Uh-huh. Yeah. So anyway, what's next on the agenda? I want to know. I want to know.
Um, Okay, so well, first of all, everyone who's here, make sure there's like apparently a button on the top right, not for me, but for you to make sure that you're subscribed to both of us. So please do that. Like, share, support us. And after the live, I think this will live on our pages. So like make sure to go there and like it and comment and say,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
I'm gonna put it on my YouTube also.
oh, amazing. Fantastic. Um, and yeah, and everyone feel free to leave questions if you have them. I mean, I have like a list of other questions for Steve just in case. Um, because I think it's really fun to watch you like get to watch you first of all like engage with hecklers. Like I think that's one of my favorite things because
Thanks.
because like they can't heckle you. It's like you're unheckleable almost because of the way that you push back. Has there ever been like, or what's the wildest thing a heckler has ever said to you?
Well, so like when I often get asked, like, does has a heckler ever won? And my response is anyone who's smart enough to win is smart enough not to heckle. Like, it takes a really delusional person to see the situation of, I'm in a room surrounded by people who enjoy me. I have a microphone, a spotlight, and 23 years of experience. And you're going to look at that and go, I could do better. Like, that takes such delusion. It's
Right.
the kind of people who think, oh, I could land a plane in an emergency. Like, no, you fucking can't. You might be able to sit there while the plane lands itself, but you
Or the
definitely
people who
can.
think I'm charged with a crime, but I'm going to go pro se. I think I'm going to represent myself.
Yeah,
I'll do a
I
better job than some lawyer.
I would bet anything that those people do not know the term pro se. I didn't until just now. So it takes an amazing level of delusion. But I mean, there are so many that are just utterly ridiculous. There was one where she wouldn't shut up the whole show, and then she tried to like ask me to hang out after the show, and I was like, "Fuck off." And my response, this is before I met my wife, but my response was, "I'm single. I'm not that single. Absolutely not. No way in hell."
Yeah. No, no, no,
Yeah.
definitely not. Um, have you ever been like, do you ever worry about jokes going too far?
No, because I know that everything I say comes from a place of compassion. And there are times when I have, stepped in it because when you think on the spot, sometimes you don't think things through. There was an example of a video that I had a video, it had 1 million views. And it was a 17-minute video. And on YouTube, that generates a decent amount of income for a long video to have that many views. And I took it down because I realized that I had said something in it that out of context wasn't okay to say. And, it would take too long of a, here, what I meant by that was actually, blah, blah, blah. I said something in the heat of the moment that wasn't something that I would back up off stage. And so I took it down, I edited that out, and I reposted the video. And I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, but I'm not afraid of being wrong.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Like some of what I do in terms of like this is like on a completely separate account, which because I've like kind of siphoned off like my talk about reality TV. Like I recently posted on my Instagram because I was at the Survivor season 48 premiere and people were like, "Oh my God, I've been following you for years and I didn't even realize I recognized you from Survivor from years ago." Because I really don't talk about that on my main page. It's just
Yeah.
like a separate thing. But on my Survivor page, I also am quite political because I just am. That's who I am.
Yes.
And people often ask me about the political leanings of other contestants. And so I post pictures of people who are out there posing in their MAGA hats or their, victory, like so happy on the day that Trump won on the day of the inauguration, who are posting those things. And people are like, "You're so evil. I can't believe you're shaming people, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, shaming? I'm shaming them? I go, you can post pictures of me all day, every day in my Harris Walls gear, and I will never feel one iota of shame for who
Yes.
I supported. I am not making comments. I am not making conclusions about them. If they feel ashamed, then that says something about them and
Yes.
the person that they supported in this past election. And if there's shame associated, that has nothing to do with me sharing something that they publicly shared.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to worry about being outed as what your politics are. Your politics should be a reflection of who you are. Like, the people you vote for should share your values. Now, not 100% of your values, because you're not, one of the things I try to remind people when they get upset, like they'll get upset with a candidate because they said one thing they disagree with. And I'm like, no one in the world agrees with 100% of what you believe. Like,
Exactly.
and this person, you're not interviewing someone for a spouse. They're not, politicians are public transportation. Their job is to get you from point A to point B. That's all they're supposed to do. Um, So a politician should reflect your values as much as possible. And if you are ashamed at admitting who you voted for, that's because you voted for someone who doesn't reflect your values.
Exactly.
Or you have
Exactly.
shit values.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Fred Roman
Or
just joined. Hey, Fred.
hi, Fred. That's so funny. No, but I mean, I completely agree. It's like if those, if that is the feeling that you have when somebody shares something that you posted online, then like that says something about you. That's
Yeah,
on you.
it's yeah, and it's not, especially because it's when like they made a post about their political leanings and you simply shared it with no comment. Like you aren't like, look at this asshole, here's their home address. Like you didn't do any of that.
No.
You if anything, they should be proud that you shared what they were proud of.
Exactly.
It reached
Exactly.
more people.
Exactly. Sometimes I do it with the like the cringe face emoji though.
Okay, fair, fair. That is, yeah. Wait, which one's the cringe face emoji?
Like the one with the teeth across, like
Oh yeah,
yikes.
yeah. Okay,
Like
that
the
makes
yeah, I
sense.
think of that as the cringe face emoji. Maybe it's not what it's meant for, but also like the prayer hands apparently were actually a high five in their original like conception. Did you
Yeah,
know that?
that's what people say, but at the same time, it's like a high five between two people wearing the same exact shirt. I don't think so. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
think that that was always prayer, and then they backtracked it. My favorite emoji, though, my absolute favorite one to use is the one where it's just going like I use
teeth
that.
or no teeth.
No teeth at
I like
all.
the one that you can like kind of see like a little bit of teeth.
Okay, fair. I like the one because it just to me that emoji is just going whoa, and like
Yeah.
that's a reaction I have to many things.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, totally. No, and then the other emoji that I often will use is just like the eyes, like just the eyes.
oh yeah, like the oh look at this shit, like that
Yep,
kind of emoji. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, it is incredible how much we can communicate with that, and it's incredible the amount of the how far we've come from colon parentheses.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. One of actually, do you remember when Eli Manning hosted SNL and they did that court scene and he was like, I texted you up, you up, you up. And then he was like, and then I texted the emoji with one eye closed, one eye open, and the tongue out. And they made him do it on the
Yeah,
stand. I laughed so hard. And like Eli is like kind of stiff. He's not like the funny, I mean, he's my quarterback, but like
yeah. Same.
my
My
forever
quarter
quarterback.
wonderful, probably the best fourth quarter quarterback in NFL history,
Yeah.
and what he has in talent, he makes up for lacking in personality.
Totally.
Yeah, he is. He is. Peyton got the acting genes for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But I mean, I think they're both doing all right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're doing fine. You know, they're both Hall of Famers. But like yeah, just man, he was him in an interview was hilarious.
Oh my God, I know, I know.
Yeah.
All right, so wait, so before we wrap this up, I want people to know you said you're gonna be on the road for 2 months.
2 months straight. Yeah, I'm doing I'm doing I think 130 or 140 cities this year,
Oh my
and
God.
so from April 20th to I think June 19th or something, I'm on the road with a show almost every day. I think the most days off we have in a week is one. Um, but it's a different city every day. Most of the cities are real close to each other. But then, of course, once we get out west, there's that part. And we're doing some of Canada as well.
Oh.
Shout out to you, 51st State. So
let us
part of me
let
is
us
like, do I
co- let
bring?
us let us in.
Yeah, I'm like, do I bring a burner phone for my way back in? Like, there's gonna be, they might, it'll really depend on who the border guard is, whether I get let back in.
So it's
Um,
actually that's like a real thing, and it's so crazy because the recently, actually this past week, the a lawyer, an American citizen and a lawyer was stopped coming back with his family. He was in the Dominican Republic and he was coming back into Michigan. He's from Dearborn, Michigan, and he was stopped and they wanted to search his phone and he said, "It's my work phone. I've got lawyer client privileged communications on this device. I'm not willing to allow you to search my phone." And so they detained him for 90 minutes. a U.S. citizen coming back into this country because they didn't like someone that he was representing, and like wanted to see the communication under some like terrorist act, something, something. And it was, I mean, that was one of the more, I mean, like every day there's something that is jarring and alarming and disturbing. And I couldn't get through the video I posted yesterday without crying when I was talking about, you know, Mr. Garcia, who's in an El Salvadorian prison despite
Yeah.
also legally being here. So it's just, it's just, but American citizens getting their phones searched when they come back into this country is, that's a new fear unlocked.
Oh, I need to make my phone wallpaper just a big fuck you. Like I think I just need to, like, you want to see my phone? Here you go. Be like, well, you asked. But
I mean,
well, I mean, that'll look. All right.
my legal advice, my non-legal legal advice is don't do that. Don't listen, Customs and Border Patrol, it's not, they have a lot of power. They have a lot
Yeah.
of leeway when you're, a lot of the rights that we have do not apply to border crossings. I mean, for non-US citizens particularly, but even US citizens, like your electronic devices can be searched.
Yeah, and like, look, I don't want to be detained, and I don't want to miss shows. I don't want my rights violated, but at the same time, God, the press would be incredible. The
I know, right?
yeah, the amount of yeah, comedian detained at border for jokes. Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
I'm in.
but you already know that man can't take a joke. Literally, like if we could go back to that White House Correspondents' Dinner where that first joke was made that like,
Yeah,
is apparently gave him the idea to run for president in the first place. Like if we could go back and take that joke back, maybe we
yeah.
wouldn't be in this situation.
I got detained at the border probably 15 years ago for so the rule is when you go into Canada as an American citizen, if you are taking work away from a Canadian, you need working papers. If you are doing like a private show or doing a show where like you're the draw, then you don't need working papers. So I was doing a fundraising show where they booked me and me specifically, and this border guard, and this was just crossing into Canada. And so this Canadian border guard stopped me and was like, "Oh, why are you going?" And I was being honest, and I said, "Oh, I have a show in Hamilton, and here's the show, and here's the info, and blah blah blah." And she goes, "Can I see your working papers?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have working papers because I'm not taking work away from a Canadian." And she goes, "That's not the law." And I'm an idiot who cannot leave well enough alone. So I was like, "But it is, and it's weird that I have to tell you that, but it is the law." And she goes, "Well, how they know to hire you?" And I go, "Well, I'm a stand-up comedian, and they like my stuff." And she goes, "Well, I never heard of you." And at that point, I was so pissed that I just go, "I never heard of you either, but you do your job." And then I got detained for an hour. And
Did you miss the fundraiser?
I did not miss the fundraiser. What happened was, while I was detained, I reached out to the people of the fundraiser. One of the people on the board was a lawyer, and he called the border guard and said, "Let him through, or I will sue you back into the Stone Age." And they let me through. So that was nice.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I'm going to be a lot more. I mean, that was also 10 or 15 years ago. I mean,
Right.
like, I'm going to be a lot more careful now. Like, now it's yes sir, yes ma'am, here you go, etc. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but if I do get to, I mean, I'm fourth generation U.S. citizen. Like, if I get detained because I have a different opinion on politics than the current president, like yeah, okay, I might have to move to Canada, but I will milk that for everything it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very scary to think about that. Like if my name ends up on a list or something, and it's like you're coming back into the country and then they stop you and then what? What? I mean, are they gonna like are they gonna send me off to El Salvador? Like, am I gonna be in a gulag in El Salvador? Like that's just, you know?
Yeah. I have no problem being detained at the border and using that for social media currency. Do not send me to a gulag, please. Like,
No, I
that's
know.
that's one where I'll be like, "Oh no, thank you."
Seriously. Seriously.
Yeah, I will draw the line at what's worth it for the publicity. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, this has been so much fun. I mean, I love having like the like lightness of having a chat with a friend, even in the midst of all this darkness in the world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and it's something like I've seen this at shows where people right now need community so much, and it's wonderful to be able to chat with someone who's like-minded. But also it's nice to just catch up with a friend, which is a wonderful thing about social media now. You kind of forget that like I've only met you in person once, and it was for like half a second, and I still remember. Do you remember I refused to hug you?
Yes. You
So
were
this
like, I can't
was
hug you because everyone's going to want to hug me, Eliza. And I was like, okay, Steve.
this was so we're just coming out of COVID. It's just when we're getting shows back on. And I don't even handshake at shows. Like I will do like the elbow bump. And that's partly just because I don't want to catch a cold every three
Right.
weeks. But because this was at the Gramercy, which is, a decent sized theater in New York, and there was a bunch of people in line, and you came over to give me a hug, and there's like a bunch of people right there, and I was like, I can't, like, if I hug you and then I say, "Oh, I don't even shake hands with people," like they're gonna get pissed off. And so I should have just hugged you and then said to people, "That's my friend. That's different," you
Yeah.
know. But at the time, it was when I was just getting back into things with COVID. I didn't really know what my boundaries
I
were.
know, I know. No, everyone had to be. I mean, it was like people were like in the theater in masks and stuff at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was like right
absolutely.
out of COVID. Um, but I
Yeah,
feel like I've known you forever. I mean, you like spoke at my birthday. Like we did like Zoom. I mean, I've like been online with you so much. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's nice that like at one point we're all gonna hang out in person, and you and my wife can finally meet in
I
person
know.
instead of just like being mutual admirers from afar. And by the way, I will say this: there are plenty of people who like my wife does not like their online content, who like she likes as people, but it's not for her, and she's a big fan of yours. She loves your stuff.
The
So
feeling is
like,
mutual.
yeah, excellent. And Fred, by the way, in the comments, Fred said to do. I guess you do a Sunday show. I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in. I love your stuff, Fred. I'm in.
Yeah, Fred, you got it. It's Fred does a great show on Sundays. I got to go on recently. It's so fun.
Yeah,
Panel, really.
absolutely. Hell yeah, let's do it. And thanks
Um,
to everyone who joined this. This was so fun, and really really enjoyed the comments. And I saw a bunch of people in the comments being like, "Hey, I'm fans of both of you independently," which is awesome to see. And for those of you who were my fans and did not know Eliza's stuff yet, or vice versa, welcome and thanks for being a part of it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. If you're here, hit the subscribe on the top of the screen. Subscribe to both of us. Steve, you're amazing. This was so fun. I can't wait to watch it back and like send it to everyone and tell everyone to watch us and subscribe. And I can't wait to like build more community on Substack.
Hell yeah, back at you, my friend. And also, since this was Eliza's first live and my second, like just let us know in comments and stuff who else you want us to do this with, because
Definitely,
there's a bunch of really wonderful creators on here, and one of the great things about Substack is the collabs are so easy to do.
really
And
easy.
yeah, and I really love the rising tide floats all boats kind of thing of Substack. It's great.
For sure. I think that's, there are a lot of creators who I think have adopted that mentality, which is true. It's, followership is not a zero sum game. Like just because someone follows me doesn't mean they can't follow a lot of other people as well and back and vice versa.
Yeah,
Um, and if you have feedback for us, also let us know because this is my first live, Steve's second. And so, we want to keep doing them and make sure that they're enjoyable for everyone. So thank you
yeah,
everyone so much for being here.
absolutely. Thanks everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Steve. Bye.